Okay, I think it's okay now. Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you for attending this webinar, which will give you an overview of performing a management review according to ISO 9001-2015. My name is Pereira da Cruz, and I'm an author at 𝗥𝗲𝗴𝗶𝘀. I do quite a lot of ISO 9001 consulting and training, but I also audit as lead auditor. So today I'm going to share with you my thoughts about management review. My presentation will last approximately 40 minutes, after which we'll have a 20-minute question and answer session. And if you have a question, you don't have to wait for the Q&A session. You can ask it during my presentation. Of course, I'll also answer all of your remaining questions during the Q&A session. We will later send you an email with a link to the recording of this webinar and to the list of articles mentioned. Okay, so let's see here. So a good management review ensures strategic alignment, continual improvement, compliance, and resource adequacy, driving QMS effectiveness and business success. This webinar highlights how an effective management review contributes to top management and the overall success of a quality management system. This webinar is specifically designed to top management, quality managers, and professionals responsible for ISO 9001 management review. Okay, so let's see the agenda. Today, we'll discuss the following topics. First, we will give an overview of management review and its purpose. There are a lot of myths about management review. That will be our next topic. Then we will discuss management review as a process, not just a meeting. Afterwards, we'll look into the inputs. You know, ISO 9001 is very prescriptive about the inputs. And then we will speak about the decisions and then move into the outputs of the management review. And finally, we'll present the main challenges of management review according to questions received by email before this webinar. Okay, now let's jump into the purpose. So the Romans had a god named Janus, from whom the name January for the first month of the year derives. Janus was the god of bridges, gateways, and transitions, often depicted with a head that has two faces. I encourage organizations to see the management review as a symbolic bridge, as a Janus moment connecting past, present, and future. So today, we assess both our current context and the gap, okay? So the gap between our actual and our desired performance. To understand how we arrive at this point, we reflect on our past decisions and the performance challenges we set for ourselves. Those decisions were made based on the knowledge available at that time. By examining the differences between the past and today, we aim to extract lessons that will assist us in making better decisions for the future. Now, let's dive better into the purpose. What is the purpose of a management review? Well, let's begin with the end in mind. Read what ISO 9001 says about management review outputs. It starts with something like, the outputs of the management review should include conclusions, okay, on the continuing suitability, adequacy, and the effectiveness of the quality management system. So, look into the past. What can your organization learn from last year? Do you have an effective QMS? Does your QMS achieve its objectives? Do you have an adequate QMS? That means, does your QMS has all the necessary elements to function correctly? Do you have a suitable QMS? That means, does your QMS still fit the organization's needs? So, okay, this is the purpose. And by the way, clause 9.3 focuses too much on the past, okay? And then the management system becomes lame. okay? Only one leg, because it doesn't focus enough on the future. And the quality objectives seem disconnected from the management review. Of course, we need to look into the past. We need to scalp the past, but the past is dead and buried. We cannot do anything more about that, okay? We do this to learn how to make better decisions for the future. And where do we get them? I think that management review is a good place for doing that. So, purpose. Now let's see some myths around management review. So, there must be one annual management review. So, in a typical organization, the outcome of a management review is reviewed periodically. It can be monthly, quarterly, or annually. An annual frequency does not provide time to correct any ineffective course of action. We will speak more about that later, okay? So, management reviews should cover all requirements in one meeting. No, it's not mandatory. This represents an enormous workload for those preparing the review, and it undermines the quality of the discussion because many issues will have to be addressed in a short period of time. How much time can you capture from the top management's agenda for the review? Think about that. Another one is all senior managers should be present in the annual meeting. Should all senior management be present at the review? Well, for large organizations, it's unlikely that all top managers will be present at these meetings. However, okay, the information should be made available for comments and decision. Okay. Now, last one is management review should follow the ISO standard requirements sequence. Okay. For example, subsections 9.3a through F. It makes me laugh. Seriously, come on. Okay, we can follow the sequence that best suits each organization, and we can add topics that are not included in the standard. Okay. Now, I want to leave here links for 2 articles that you can read later. Okay. The first one is ISO 9001, why it should be viewed as a business management system, and the other one is to what extent should top management be involved in your QMS? Now, let's see some questions here. So, 𝗏𝗏, Edward, and Nuria asked, how often should management reviews be performed and documented? Okay, so management reviews should be performed and documented at planned intervals. That's what's in the standard, okay? So ISO 9001 does not set a frequency. Just say, okay, decide on an interval and stick to it, okay? However, in your contract with certification bodies, you accept their requirement of at least 1 documented review per year to maintain compliance. Yes, it's there in the contract, check. When conducting a management review, you analyze past performance to make informed decisions for the present and future. If reviews are conducted only once a year, all results are lagging indicators, making it too late to course correct when necessary. Okay, it's done. It's already finished the year. So it's like driving while only looking in the rear view mirror. Okay, so to stay proactive, management review should be more frequent, incorporating leading indicators that enable timely adjustments and strategic decision making. Now, another question is from Michael. Michael asked, how often do you do management review during implementation? Okay, so usually what I do and what I see others doing is just doing a management review during implementation in the final part of the project to formally evaluate the QMS status and give the go decision for certification. However, other approaches are possible, okay? So during implementation, what we have are project status review meetings, not management review meetings, okay? Now, Rosendo asked, when is the first certification process on ISO 9001? It's necessary to perform the management review? Yes, A management review is required before the first ISO 9001 certification audit. So please check this article, okay? How to prepare your company for the ISO 9001 certification audit, okay? All right, so let's now go into the process for the management review process, and let's think about the schedule. Schedule and distribute topics throughout the year, okay? So in order to avoid a situation that condemns us to failure, so a management review where we try to do everything in a short period of time, we can schedule the management review in 4 moments throughout the year that coincide with each quarter. And we distribute the various topics for each moment. So we align the QMS management cycle with the financial management cycle of the business. Without this alignment, fantastic decisions can be made, but there will be no money to implement them, okay? So some topics are reviewed at every meeting, others every 6 months, and others annually. Attention, don't forget, this example is generic, okay? It does not mean that this distribution is the most suitable for your organization, okay? What you can see here, it's all topics on clause 9.3.2 about the inputs are there. 1 or 2 more are not there, but are here. So all topics are considered. Now, let's see the management review as a process. So management review is not a meeting, or it's not just the meeting, okay? It is much more than a meeting. It's a whole process. So in a management review process, one can identify 4 stages: the preparation, before the meeting, during the meeting, and after the meeting, or follow-up. Now, let's see the preparation. At planned intervals, the organization must consider several inputs of information and data to evaluate the performance and the effectiveness of the QMS. So planned intervals mean that the time between the management review should be determined in advance. Can be annual, quarterly, or monthly reviews, okay? Inputs are related to requirements from several clauses of ISO 9001, including the status of actions identified during previous management reviews. The inputs should be used to sense the situation. They should be analyzed. So we sort, classify, summarize, calculate, correlate, present, chart, or otherwise translate the original raw data into meaningful information for those that will evaluate, okay? All right. Now, before the meeting, what happens is meeting time is too expensive and scarce and should be used wisely. So use it for discussions and making decisions, not for long presentations. So after preparation and before the meeting, an agenda should be prepared and sent to participants together with the input information. Participants should study the information before the meeting. Now, what happens during the meeting? A management review meeting gathering top management should occur after reviewing input data, and for what? To discuss results, make conclusions, synthesize, and decide on a course of action, okay? After the meeting or follow-up, develop and approve action plans to implement decisions. So we expect actions to be implemented, okay? So in the next management reviews, we'll check the progress of the actions, plans, and results. Now, the organization should keep records. Without records, organizations have no memory. Records are memory. Without memory, organizations can't learn. Now, Nuria asked, how long should the management review meeting take? Well, that depends on 2 things. How much time does top management provide, and what do you do in the meeting? What happens is that I see organizations that instead of using the meetings just for this, try to do all these activities in the meeting, which can be painful. As a result, 1 or 2 topics one or two topics are use the most of the available time, and the rest is, well, I don't know. Okay, so also, as I will show in the next slide, be careful with the word consideration. Okay, consideration. Like this. Okay, so each meeting with 4 moments. Okay, the outputs of preparation are an agenda for the meeting and the information about the topics already analyzed. So the agenda and the report. So before the meeting, the evaluation of inputs. Meeting to discuss, make conclusions and decisions. And the output of the meeting is the management review meeting minute. Okay. During the follow-up, decisions must be translated into action plans or studies that hopefully will be translated into action. Okay. Now, I want to leave here a link to an article that you can check later, how to make management review more useful in the QMS. Okay. So it's an article about inputs and outputs of the management review. Now, we have here a question, and because of this question that I will speak about the consideration. So Esther asked, does every item listed in the standard need to be talked about or presented in the management review? And this is very, very important, okay? So it's like a bit of a trick, okay? So does every item listed in the standard need to be talked about or presented in the management review? Also, Thomas asked, what information needs to be included in the management review report to document the presentation? And Ishak asked, what is the agenda for management review? So I translated here, agenda for the content, okay? So ISO 9001 in the clause about inputs states, the management review shall be planned and carried out taking into consideration. So the term consideration refers to reviewing, analyzing, and evaluating specific inputs during a management review process to determine, and I repeat, during a management review process, not necessarily during the management review meeting. So the term consideration refers to reviewing, analyzing, and evaluating specific inputs during a management review process to determine their relevance, impact, and necessary actions for the QMS. So according to the slide 6, okay, that one with a schedule, the report must include all topics scheduled for the meeting. And in the report, we present the information. And we can mention that there are no necessary actions or decisions for some topics, okay? In that case, the report provides evidence of consideration of the topic, but no time will be used in the meeting to discuss it because there is no need for changes. Topics that need to be discussed because actions or decisions are needed are included in the report and in the agenda. This way, the meeting is used for making decisions as a team and no time is wasted on presentations, okay? Now, let's see the agenda. So, focus the attention on the why. Why are we having these meetings, okay? So, learn to love the fact-based approach, okay? Any management system review needs to be based on facts. I read yesterday and I find it so interesting. So something like, avoid sitting around and duel in the land of ideas. And another thing that I read was, avoid making important decisions based on cognitive vapor, okay? So gather sufficient information and data, facts, to provide a sound basis for the review. See with top management who should participate to accomplish management review. So, and seek input from attendees with first and with direct experience. Don't just collect the data and make a tick in your management review input list, something like done, done, done. No, be demanding, be curious, okay? And search for learning. people, I mean we, okay, we are deluded, okay? We think we know more about the system we work in than we actually do. So do more than just collect raw data. For example, consider the internal audit results. Instead of presenting detailed audit findings, summarize the key points for top management. Things like total number of audits conducted, completion status of the audit program, number of non-conformities identified, categorized as major or minor, status of non-conformity resolutions closed or pending, identification of any significant trends or recurring issues, recommendations for future actions, for example, such as the need for increased investment in the internal audit process. So this approach provides a comprehensive overview, okay, enabling top management to understand the overall health of the QMS and make informed strategic decisions without needing in-depth audit expertise. The management review meeting is not the place for detailed technical problem solving, but for evaluating trends, risks, and opportunities, leading to strategic responses and actions. Information should be analyzed beforehand so that management can focus on making decisions, not diagnosing issues. So when preparing for a management review under 9001, clause 9.3, it's essential to use the standard as a guide to ensure no prescribed inputs are overlooked, okay? So you can find all the necessary documents in our ISO 9001 Premium Toolkit. Let me show you how it looks like, okay? Let me see if I can show you. So this is the list of all the documents that we have in our ISO 9001 Premium Documentation Toolkit, okay? So here, okay, for procedure for management of non-conformities and corrective actions, and the other one is procedure for management review. Okay, so let's see the procedure for management review. So this is a Word file, a Word document, so you can customize this document as you wish, okay? You have here some articles helping with some suggestions. Yeah, it's like this. So the methods for the management review, the frequency, the inputs. Yeah, you see, it's here. And for the another example is the procedure for management of non-conformities and corrective actions. Same document, the Word document. You can customize this completely. Yep, you have here what the sequence. Yep. Okay, and let me show you again another document. So this kind of template for recording the status of non-conformities and corrective actions. Yeah, so you can use you can see the details of this toolkit here. So here's the link for the toolkit. Okay, right. All right. So yeah. Let's see an example of preparing inputs. So in this example, the quality manager gathers the necessary inputs for the management review by collecting and analyzing data on customer complaints from the past 6 months. You see here, so the data shows 35 complaints, a 75% increase from the previous period's 20 complaints. So this is a significant and concerning trend. And customer satisfaction dropped from 85 to 72%. Okay, so this highlights the importance of review frequency. While individual complaints are typically addressed and customers retained, who is looking at the big picture? Who is spotting the trend beyond isolated incidents, isolated complaints? Critical patterns may go unnoticed without timely reviews, so delaying necessary corrective actions. So let's see, the main complaint categories here, the kind of the Pareto. So, and if we focus our attention on the defective products, the root cause analysis, okay, finds these topics, okay, problems with calibration, problems with, well, I don't like this wording, human errors. Okay, for me, there are no human errors. Okay, everything is because normally in organizations there are no terrorists. Okay, people that do mistakes on purpose. No, it's if there's a problem with training, we should think what is wrong with our system that allows that the person that is not competent is doing a particular job. And okay, raw material inconsistencies. Okay, so an example that's kind of preparation. Okay, now let's see the agenda. Okay, so prepare a management review agenda, communicate the date and venue. Okay, list agenda, communicate who will attend, list agenda items and an estimation of the time needed for each item, present agenda items as questions that must be answered. It has several advantages, okay? It focuses the discussion, it encourages engagement and problem solving. Questions invite active participation, making the meeting more of a collaborative problem solving session rather than a passive report sharing event. See the difference. Look into this and look into the classic, okay? Instead of just listen, okay, customer feedback. Oh, they will present us an update of how is customer feedback. No, there will be no presentation. You must read that information before the meeting. The meeting is to answer complaints are up and satisfaction are down. How to revert the situation. Okay, so instead of just listening to updates, attendees come prepared to contribute solutions. So it defines clear outcomes. It reduces unnecessary or unproductive topics. And by the way, when drafting the agenda, framing topics as questions forces organizers to think, is this really an issue that needs discussion or just an update that could be shared in the report? And this avoids wasting time on topics that don't require debate or decision making. Now, give or share links to where attendants can study the documentation prepared, okay? Remember that attendants must arrive at the management review with their study done. Time is too precious to present information that can be reviewed before the meeting. And this implies that the agenda and the information should be sent well before the management review. Identify who is responsible for leading each item. Okay, so now, so here in this column, so identify who is responsible for leading each item. And Julio asked, who should present the information concerning the QMS status? Well, in a management review, the responsibility for presenting information on the QMS status typically falls on the quality manager or quality representative, okay? This is the most common practice, okay? Because as they oversee the QMS and ensure compliance with 9001, okay? But it can be top management, so particularly in smaller organizations, or where leadership is directly involved in the QMS, or process owners or department heads when specific QMS-related topics require detailed inputs, like in this case, like for example, customer service or internal audits like quality. I think the best practice is the quality manager should lead the presentation, ensuring a structured review of QMS performance, while top management and key process owners provide input and decision-making support, okay? So, okay, now the agenda is sent, the report is sent, people should study. Now we have the meeting. So the management review is not just a meeting, it's a whole process performed to assess and evaluate the performance of the management system. So the management review process starts with the gathering and analysis of the data. Okay, we already speak about that. Then the management review meetings, the meeting, so when we gather the top management should occur after reviewing input data to discuss the results, to make conclusions, and to decide on a course of action. I know that when you start, you want what you think is perfect. You want the perfect meeting, okay? You want the 10, okay? The 𝗏𝗲𝗀𝗶𝘀𝗁 10. But before the 10, we must start with the 1, the 2, and the 3, okay? I remember as quality manager sending memos, okay, to my plant manager showing how our quality was poor. However, when he went to the warehouse, he saw the warehouse empty. Okay, and he thought, oh, if it is empty, it's because all products there is no all product is sold. So, okay, one day I translated my language. Okay, for him was Chinese. Okay, or Egyptian hieroglyphs. I translated my language into his language. And the result was incredible. Yeah. Instead of defects, I calculated what we lost in money terms because we had to sell at a lower price because it was not top quality. And I remember his words, "You never told me this before, Carlos." And in my mind, my eyes, oh, I was thinking, come on, I told you this many times before. So lesson is, or my advice is, try to translate what you think are problems into top management language, okay? Now, Nuria asked, how to motivate employees and mainly leadership to actively participate in these meetings? Well, I would say highlight the value and impact, okay? Connect the QMS with these 2 business goals. Illustrate how quality management drives efficiency, lowers costs, increases customer satisfaction, boosts profitability. So present tangible gains or risks based on QMS performance, like reduced rework, fewer customer complaints, compliance achievements, and stress the consequences of overlooking quality non-conformities, such as fines, customer losses, and inefficiencies. Show the benefits and show the pain. Okay, the benefits attract, and the pain, we want to run away from the pain. So make meetings efficient and relevant. So avoid boring presentations. Invite people to study before the meeting and use the meeting to make decisions. Avoid long, tedious reviews. No, that's for before the meeting. Use clear agendas, dashboards, and action points, okay? And focus on decision making. Ensure meetings result in actionable decisions, not just reports, okay? Again, remember what I said before. The management review, it's lame, just one leg. Focus on the past and not also concentrated in the future. Okay, and also important, respect the meeting time. Demonstrate that your meetings are not black holes consuming valuable time. Oh, I don't want to go to Carlos' meetings. He said it's just 2 hours, but I know it will be 4 hours. No, I don't want to go. So no, it's 2 hours, it's 2 hours. If it could not see all the topics, we think, can we do 30 minutes next week or something? But people know that when it is 2 hours, it's 2 hours, okay? And if leadership views QMS as a priority, others will follow. So alignment. So illustrate how quality impacts strategic KPIs such as revenue, customer retention, and operational efficiency. Oops. Okay. Now, let's go back to the previous example. So during the performance, during the management review meeting, okay, regard the decisions about the product defect. So they decide, implement stricter calibration controls, adjust machine maintenance schedules to prevent calibration issues, enhance employee training in assembly. So the leadership team and process owners discuss the findings in the management review meeting and make decisions, okay? they make decisions. And now what we have the outputs and the follow-up. So final conclusion of the management review and documentation. So include the conclusion statement. The conclusion should summarize the findings and discussions of the management review meeting. It should indicate whether the QMS remains suitable, adequate, and effective. Use meeting minutes, formal reports, or summary documents to record the conclusion. These documents should include summary of discussions on various QMS components and performance against objectives. Decisions are made regarding the suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness of the QMS, identified areas for improvement, and agreed upon decisions or actions. Sign-off and approval, obtain signatures or approvals from relevant management personnel to endorse the final conclusion documentation. And okay, then we have the follow-up actions after management review. So develop detailed action plans for addressing identified improvement areas or necessary changes to enhance the QMS. So allocate resources, assign responsibilities for each action item to specific individuals or departments. Set clear timelines and deadlines for completing action items. What I say, draw a line in the sand, okay? We want to be clear when we arrive at that moment. Are we on this side or on this side of the line? And regularly monitor progress on action items and review their implementation status in subsequent management review meetings. So I leave here a link to an article called How to Make Management Review More Practical, okay? And Kelly asked, so Chico and Reason, I will answer your questions during the Q&A. So Kelly asked, what is the best way to educate our executives on their responsibilities for management review outputs? What is the best way to educate our executives on their responsibility for management review outputs? Well, I don't know if this is the best way, okay, but it is an effective way based on my experience. So develop a clear responsibility chart that ties management review outputs to business goals and executive performance metrics, okay? Then create a dashboard with colored traffic lights representing the evolution or status of the decided outputs. And at each top management meeting, the dashboard is presented, and those responsible have to justify delays. Okay, that's what I recommend when I work in organizations. Okay. Now, let's see an example of the outputs, okay, follow-up actions and monitoring. So back to our example, the management review outputs include assigned actions, responsibilities, and deadlines. Remember, the management review is not the right place to decide what stricter calibration controls to implement, or what changes in employee training and awareness. Management review meeting is the place to decide what needs to be done. During the follow-up, technical people will decide the details of the how, okay? Not, okay, the how is for the follow-up, okay? Now, let's see the main challenges. So based on the emails that I received before this webinar, the main challenges regarding the 9001 management review are, and these are based on the frequency of management review was the topic with more questions, then the agenda, then the engagement. So regular management reviews drive continual improvement. A consistent review schedule ensures timely decisions and aligns the QMS with business goals. So balance distance to see the big picture with feedback time to act before it is too late. Okay. Now, then comes the agenda content, okay? A well-structured agenda turns a management review from a routine meeting into an impactful strategy session, okay? Concentrate on the topics requiring decisions, seek out key insights. Engagement and awareness of top management. So the active involvement of top management acts as a catalyst for an effective review. So their leadership during the review process improves decision-making and fosters organizational success. Yes, of course, we need to use some tricks to engage them, but when they learn what they can take from this management review, magic happens. And who needs to attend or present? Effective management reviews require the right people at the table. So avoid making decisions based on cognitive vapor. What a phrase. Yeah, effective management reviews require the right people at the table. Engaging key participants ensures informed decisions, informed discussions, and meaningful actions that drive continual improvement. Okay. Let's see here, the conclusion. So to conclude, the purpose of the management review, as outlined, is to evaluate the organization quality management system. Okay, it involves top management assessing the system's suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness in achieving quality objectives. The management review aims to ensure continual improvement, identify opportunities for improvement, for enhancement, and address any necessary changes or corrective actions to drive quality, performance, and customer satisfaction. And to help you with that, we can use Adviserra's ISO 9001 Premium Documentation Toolkit. So here's the link with more details, okay? And I'll also send you now the meeting link to schedule a call with our toolkit expert. He'll explain you how toolkit works and show you any document you'd like to see, okay? So here's the toolkit expert meeting link, okay? Now, let's go to the management, to the Q&A. Oh, only 2 minutes late. Oh, good. First time. So before going to the questions and answers, so I'll leave you links for some of our courses, okay? The 9001 Foundations course, the Lead Implementer course, the Internal Auditor course, and the Lead Auditor course. I also leave a link to a book that I wrote, very practical book, Discover ISO 9001 through practical examples. And now, before we begin with the Q&A session, to mention that you can also ask me anything about 9001 directly. Just send me an email and I'll answer as quick as I can. If you have to leave before this Q&A session is over, please fill in the short survey that will open right after you leave the webinar, or that we will send you, okay? So let's see what we have here. So Chico asks, during implementation, what is the best order of sequence of events? Internal audit and then management review, since output of internal audit can be output into the management review. Yes, normally, yeah, we should do that. So implementation, then we have the internal audit or internal audits, and then management review. Yeah, that's what I recommend. Yeah. And Reason asked, how best get top managed buy-in to understand the value of periodic review meeting? So think about the topics that interest, that they are curious about, they are interested in. So many years ago, I attended annual Congress of the American Society for Quality, and there was a presentation. I never forgot. It was in this one. I went there 3 or 4 times, and this was perhaps in 2001. I never forget this presentation. So the person had a slide where he made a vertical line, and on the left side, you wrote a lot of acronyms that people that work in quality know. Okay, things like ISO, things like SPC, things like 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, things like, okay, long list. And then on the other side, you wrote a long list of financial and other other acronyms like EBITDA, ROI, VAL, and things like that. And he said something that I never forget. Well, something like, okay, this is your language, SPC and all the others. This is top management language. If you speak this language, they will not understand. It is your responsibility to try to translate, to make the bridge into their language, okay? Their language. And that's why that's why I mention here this translate my Chinese or Egyptian hieroglyphs into money, for example. Yes, George, we will send an email with a presentation or with the recording of the presentation. Yeah. Okay, I hope I was able. Let me see. Q&A. We have a question from Sebastian. Sebastian asked, we intend to conduct a management review for 9001 and ISO 27001 together. Does it make sense, and which topics can be addressed together? Yes. Conducting a joint management review for 9001 and 27001 makes all sense, as both standards share, the common requirements. Key topics that can be addressed together include context and interested parties, objectives and performance monitoring, internal audit results and non-conformities, corrective actions, continual improvement, resource needs, competence management. Be careful with risks, because 27001 is much more demanding, and there, I would say that in 27001, it's not I'm not an expert there, but there's no opportunities, okay? It's only threats, only risks, okay? Yeah, but please check this article, how to perform the management review for an ISO 45001, 14001, and 9001 integrated management system, okay? Another question is, Angie asked, does the highest level of the company need to be part of the management review, or could operations VP level be considered adequate rather than the company president or ownership? Well, at least one member of the top management team need to be part of the management review, okay? If you don't have at least one member, okay, I, as an auditor, can say, well, where is clause 5.1, the commitment? Where is the commitment of the top management with the QMS? No, if they're not there, there's no commitment. Pauline asked, what do you do when top management does not act without undue delay and the decisions taken remain and lingers for a long time? So I need to speak with the sponsor, okay, with the top of the company, and say, okay, if we continue like this, you don't need. Why do you need a QMS, okay, or a certified QMS or a QMS according to ISO 9001, okay? So, but try to see this as it's what can I do to show them that this can be really useful. Again, translate it into their language, okay? Matt asked, how can I convince top management and process owners of the importance of a thorough and timely management review? We have been doing it annually, and pretty much it's just a report out of 1-2 hours in duration. Intent and value is being missed, okay? It's funny, almost all the questions are about the same topic. It's interesting. So can you show them one example, just one example of pain for the company because an important decision was not made in due time? Just one, okay? Just one. By the way, one thing that I intend to study in the next weeks is something called the progress principle. Okay, look for that. The progress principle. Okay, so one of the most important motivators for people is the progress. how they progress. So if you can show one example about pain, and remember, people are much more afraid of pain, of what they can lose, than what they can win. So think about that. Can you show them pain for the organization, for some decisions, for a lack of timely decisions? Just one show, and perhaps based on that you can have more, and you can have for that topic a more frequent review, and then another topic, and then another topic, but start with one. Okay, it's a possibility. And it's again back to our first slide. So if the system is the management review is focused only on just presenting the past, okay, yeah, I believe that many managers, they say, okay, the past is dead, is buried, we cannot do nothing about the past, it's about the future, is next week, is next month. And okay, so we need to make our management reviews much more focused on the future. Yeah, I don't say that your management review is like that, but it's what I see in many management reviews. Okay. Okay. Anna asked, do you have to stick to list of topics to be considered as per standard? As auditor, I raise non-conformance if anything is missing from the agenda. Is that the way to audit externally? So let me go back to this slide, Anna. So if your organization only do a management review per year, I want to see all these topics. I want to see an evidence that all these topics were considered. Okay, but if you do 2 management reviews per year, okay, I want to see evidence that all these topics were considered, considering the 2 management reviews. And again, we can have some topics that are only seen in 1 management review, and the other topics that are seen in the 2. Okay, and if you do 3, it's the same. Okay, so yeah, but as an auditor, I want to be sure that during a year, all the topics were considered. Okay. And Jennifer asked, but sometimes some presenter make the management review a venue of pinpoint faults. It's a sad part, especially after the internal quality audit reported non-conformance. Yeah, Jennifer, good point. So the management review is not for that. Yeah? The management review is not for the how decisions. The management review is for decisions about what needs to be done, the what. Okay. So yeah, and again, the management review is about, okay, where it is, it's here. So about answering to those questions there. Okay, that's how I see it. Rebecca asked, are these management review topics required to consider during internal audit? Yeah, during an internal audit, you need to check if the requirements of clause 9.3.2 the organization is complying with them. Okay. Yeah, it's okay. Okay. Oh, George, I think it's this document that you wanted. Can you show the agenda plan document? Oh, that's an example, okay? And just for, yeah, some topics. Yeah, okay. So let me see here. I need to go now to the Q&A. Yeah, because I have here a question from David. David asked, what is the most important part of performing a management review? Well, first, I'll point out what I see and I don't like. Okay, yeah, I'm repeating myself here. So do you remember the slide about the purpose of the management review. Okay, this one. Okay, too often I see a management review focused on the past. You know, the head of the Janus has only one face. Okay, it's a moment to report the picture of the last X months. There is no looking into the future, no bridge into the future. And the most important part of performing a management review in ISO 9001 is ensuring top management's active engagement in evaluating the QMS's effectiveness and making strategic, data-driven decisions for continual improvement. And that means looking into the future. And this involves reviewing performance data and set stretching challenges for the future, assessing risks and opportunities impacting quality objectives, ensuring resource adequacy to sustain and improve the QMS, driving corrective and preventive actions based on findings, aligning the QMS with business strategy for the long-term success. And without top management commitment and effective decision-making, the review becomes a mere formality rather than a tool for real improvement. And then, who wants to join that meeting? No. So be careful with that. Another question is from Rod, and Rod asked, I would like to see what good looks like examples of SWOT related to the QMS that might be discussed with top management. Current conversations tend to drop down the level of the QA team, resourcing and training, which is too low and I think misses the opportunity to talk at the quality management system level. Well, good point, Rod. So in my webinars about risk and about clause 4, I present my approach to develop meaningful SWOT matrices, okay? So many organizations develop SWOT matrices without any constraints, okay? Something like, what are the internal and external issues? And okay, and they list, then it seems, okay, they are in a competition to develop the longest list of internal and external issues. And from there, they develop a SWOT matrix with fancy topics, okay? My proposal is different. I start with a constraint, okay? Start with your quality objectives. So for example, I took this example from the webinar. You can check that webinar. The link for the webinar is recorded for the clause 4. So something like this. Consider your quality objectives. They are not just fancy details to decorate your QMS. Rather, they serve as the primary engine for its improvement, okay? So ask, why aren't we there yet? I'm saying this, I'm remembering Bart Simpson always. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Why do we need 6 months to get there? What issues in the internal context can influence our objectives, desired results, results to avoid, and legal compliance? Internal context. What issues in the internal context can influence our objectives, desired results, results to avoid, and legal compliance? Next, examine each issue and assess whether they are positive, determine if they contribute to achieving the objective, so they are strengths or opportunities, or if they are negative, hindering the objective, weakness or threats. Weaknesses if they are internal, threats if they are external. And from there, okay, from this list, I create a SWOT matrix and develop. I like to work with the dynamic SWOT. So I zero in a strength, and I look, okay, what opportunities can I work with these strengths? And then with the threats, what threats can be minimized with this strength? And then I do the same with the weaknesses. With this weakness, what opportunities I cannot take advantage of because of my weaknesses? And what risks can come out of the joint work of this weakness and this threat, okay? And based on that, okay, that's how I do how I work with a SWOT. Yeah. Okay, it seems that there are no more questions. Okay. No more questions? All right, so let's go. Pauline asked, do you develop a risk and opportunity matrix from the SWOT? Yes, yes, because I invite you, Pauline, please check. You go to the list of webinars that we have in the with 𝗥𝗲𝗴𝗶𝘀, the webinars, the 𝘂𝗲𝗴𝗏, and you will see. So, and the same for the webinar about the risk in ISO 9001. So, if you connect a strength, if you link a strength with an opportunity, okay, you will see something that it's an opportunity, okay? It's an opportunity for, in terms of clause 6.1. If we see a weakness together with a threat, so something like our efficiency is very low, weakness, and okay, it seems that there are new competitors joining the market with very low prices. Okay, so the two means this is a very important risk if my company competes on low price products or low price services. Okay, so yeah, that's a big risk. Okay, that needs to be considered, because I have an objective that says we want to increase our revenue. Okay, so or we want to improve our enhance our customer satisfaction, and we see this and say, okay, people are not satisfied with our prices. Okay, so yes, from the SWOT, okay, from the SWOT, I don't know if I can do this here. Let me see if I can make some magic. Yeah, okay, so like this, pen, and the strengths, you connect the strengths with the opportunities, and you connect and see the combinations, strengths with opportunities and strengths with threats. Then you do the same with the weaknesses with opportunities and weaknesses with threats. Okay, yeah. So for example, weakness, I would say, my company is located in Europe, okay, and our major market is in the United States, okay, and I can say, because of all these discussions about tariffs and all things, I would say this is a threat, because we have a weakness, is that we export almost everything, all our production, to the United States, and this is internal, and this is external. So if we want to continue, if we want that organization as a future, we need to make something. Okay, so yeah, that's how I do it. Okay, all right. Okay, so let's go and finish. So right, okay, all right. So I think I've covered all of your questions. Let's wrap up. So as I mentioned, this 1-hour webinar was intended to give you an overview of management review purpose, preparation, execution, and recording. I hope I could give you some useful hints. Remember, you can ask me anything about 9001 directly by email. You can also download this presentation from our website or take a look at video tutorials and documentation templates. We'll send you the email with all the necessary links. Finally, if you join this webinar through Zoom, you'll see a short survey. So I would kindly ask you to spend a minute to fill it in. The recording of this presentation will be available in a few hours. You'll receive a link to the recording. If you join the webinar through LinkedIn and YouTube, you'll receive a link to the short survey now, and the link to the presentation will be posted on our event page in a few minutes. Okay, that will be all. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for your questions, and I hope you enjoyed this webinar. Have a nice day.